Well, hello, we're talking about sales, and I have received some guidance that getting right into the topic is really important in the first 3 seconds of a broadcast, sister. So here we go. We're offering tips already. Jump right into it. Sales growth. It is so critical for us as consultants, coaches, trusted advisors, and thought leaders, because there's that old saying that nothing happens until the sale is made. So on our broadcast today, we're going to talk about sales and growth. We're going to talk a little bit about Paul McCartney. Yes. And we're also going to talk about serving coffee. Okay. So a little teaser there, sisters. All right. And so let's jump in. Want to get your point of view on sales as it pertains to success and serving our clients. Okay. So I'm Kathleen Caldwell, founder of C-Suite Network's Women's Coaching and Consulting Council. Big gratitude and thanks to all of our esteemed faculty who are here. And we are so excited to be doing even more collaboration with C-Suite Network, to be posting our faculty on the C-Suite Network platform. Links to all of our content. We are now up to 101 videos on YouTube. And C-Suite, we're so grateful to you because you are going to be hosting our videos also on the C-Suite Network platform, giving our faculty members even more elevation, promotion, and showcasing. Okay, so delighted about this. And so quick shout out for our 2 past programs that have been extraordinary. We have a new corporate coaching and consulting roundtable that started, very, very awesome. And also our last program was also about funnels. How do we have people come into our world and how do we come into their world? And we got the conversation going about the client customer journey. How is it that people are finding us, knowing us, trusting us, interacting with us, and ultimately connecting and booking with us as a client and as a new valued person in our world and us in theirs. So sales is the topic today, and growth. And so I just love a pretty basic definition of sales. You can read it on your screen here, but sales is really simple. And, if someone would like to read this, I want to get your voices in here right away. And this also gives me an opportunity to rest my very scratchy voices after all of my broadcasts. So who would like to jump in? Definition of sales. Carol, please. Thank you.
Definition of sales: the exchange of product, commodity, service, or delivery for money. Helping prospective clients or customers by listening to them and understanding their wants and needs to find them what they're looking for.
Love it.
Indeed.com.
Thank you very much. Yes. So notice with the definition of sales, we're not talking about the old kind of sales that a lot of people are thinking about, not used car sales or cajoling or convincing. No, we're talking about sales as service. And so, to take a moment and, we don't need to really necessarily pause now, but I'd love for us just to, in our process here, to think about what are the beliefs that we have about sales. We've all got beliefs about sales. I know that I never wanted to be a pushy kind of salesperson. I wanted to be the kind of coach and consultant that is more like, hey, I'd love to service you. I'd like to be supportive, love to help you on your journey. And oftentimes asking for the order, asking for the person to go to the next step to become a client was something that I really didn't do. I just thought made the assumption that if they downloaded my free ebook, if they got on a webinar, if they came to certain things, if they connected with me on LinkedIn and Facebook, they liked me. And so naturally they would become a client. No, that's not how it works, people, right? So just curious, thinking about your beliefs about sales, and can you resonate with what I'm saying, that being excellent at what we do, being an influencer and being helpful and having educational products and services, building a community, doing all these nice things, will just naturally lead to people becoming a client. And if you want to chime in, you've got a point of view, I want to get your voices in here on this. Yeah, it's not really how it works. Feel free, just jump right in, unmute yourself, raise your hand, whatever works for you. But I do think that sales is in fact service, but it also requires us asking for the sale, asking for the opportunity to go to the next step. It is a lot like dating, right? On the first date, we necessarily don't want to ask the person to marry us or to get engaged or to move in, but maybe on a second, third, fourth date, fifth date, something like this. And statistics tell us now that people are generally 8 to 12 touch points before they'll make a decision about what's next. But maybe on multiple dates, if we really like each other and there's a good vibe, I think it would be completely natural to say, what's next? Would you like to learn more about how we can work better together? Would you talk, let's talk about what you're experiencing in your life and your business. And we'll talk about that in a moment, but service is really the name of the game. Pausing here, any comments, questions, observations? What's your perspective in your belief system about sales?
I'll jump in because I share
Please.
the same or similar perspective that you have, which is we've got great value to offer. We've got great services or products or whatever it is that really adds value, and you put yourself out there to make it available. It just becomes harder with how do you get the next step. You want to believe that it has so much value that it will pique interest, which it does. But for me, it's converting them to I like it and I'm willing to take the next step. And for me, if I think about the sales folks that have been most effective when I was a buyer, it was, then this part feels natural. It is, they cared about you. They took the time to understand what your issues or challenges were. And so you felt valued, and yes, they could help, but they didn't need to fix. There wasn't a whole lot of fixing that had to be done. And so for me, I think it's just the balance of not wanting to be too pushy. Okay, I've had some calls where they've been great connections. We've done some follow-up, and then I start to doubt, am I getting a little too pushy with them and turning them off? And then I sometimes read into it when they, ghost you for a period of time or aren't quick to respond. So I think for me, a lot of it is the just building up confidence with, you got to be willing to ask for what you want. And I know that in my head. Now trying to make that a reality, still a challenge.
Yes, excellent. Gloria, what you just shared, there's so much in there. And, what I also kind of a big takeaway that I got from what you shared is this fine line that we experience between we know what's possible for the other person because we have confidence in our offer and our services and who we are and our commitment. So this fine line between standing for a person and what's possible, and then being like overly pushy, like that, kind of the depiction of the used car. Hey, a deal today. And, what do I need to do to put you in this fine automobile? And, we don't want that. But that fine line between standing for a person and, knowing what's possible and then being too pushy on the other end. Yes. Yeah. Thank you very much, Gloria. So great. And so other points of view, other comments, want to get your voice in here. Can you relate to what Gloria is saying? Yeah, Sheila, thank you.
Absolutely. That was fabulous, Gloria. I also think about it in terms of it allows us the opportunity to get to know that person, decide if we want to work with them, right? It's not always the other way around, like them, asking us for us asking them for the sale. It's our opportunity to test the waters with them. Do I want that person as a client? Because maybe after 8 or 9 interactions with them, you're like, that's going to be, it's maybe not in the right alignment for us or, for them or whatever it is. But I think if we think about it in terms of that way as well, that we're both testing each other out those first 8 to 10, touch points.
Couldn't agree more with that, because I think sometimes we can be overly focused on closing the deal that we don't always recognize that the deal's not necessarily right for us either. In the
Really
long
great, Sheila. Yes, yes. And doesn't it have to be a right fit for everyone? We've all experienced the pain of it not being a right fit, either for them or for us or for whatever it is. And trying to make it work. Kind of, it is a relationship, isn't it? It's trying to make it work when really it's not. I think also that the commitment, I didn't put this overtly in the slides, but for me also is, where's the commitment? Is my commitment matching their commitment to the end result, the promise, the transformation, the offer? And is their commitment meeting mine? Or how many times have we been overcommitted? Like, we're more committed to their transformation, their outcome, their result, whatever it is. We're more committed than they are. And boy, that's painful, isn't it? Yeah. So the balance, right? The balance of the two. So good. Thank you very much. Great points of view. So let's bring in a little conversation about Paul McCartney here, because sales is service. And I really believe that the Beatles were in the sales game. Sisters, they were in the sales game. And Paul McCartney has been quoted on so many occasions that literally what they would do is they'd make a game out of the process of writing music. And so they would create goals for themselves, like, let's go out and let's write us a new swimming pool. And so the process is they would use their process to go out and do something to create an outcome, create something that was so important to the world that, people would love their songs, people would buy their songs, attend their concerts, all that type of thing. And the end result was that they would receive sales. And so he was a sales guy. He was not only selling himself, but he was also selling the idea to the other Beatles members. And then he was also selling the end result to listeners and to Beatles fans. Okay. So it's a whole sales process all the way through. And so, when we think about it, there's nothing wrong here. It's actually a creative way of thinking of things. And what I'd like to say is, it's time for us to help our clients go out and write and create their new pools. Okay. Because the ultimate end result is, what do people want? Do they want the new pool, so to speak? Do our clients want a new career? They want to get out of a current situation. They want to get into a new one. What is it that people want? What's the transformation that we're promising? And we're not going to get into features and benefits too much in this broadcast, because we've done that on a lot of other broadcasts. But are we selling the features, which are, say, for instance, the 2 calls a month, the beautiful extensive library of resources, the gatherings, the person-to-person events you're going to have, or those are features, they're very important, but are we then selling the benefits? They will transform, they will have relief from the problems that they're experiencing. They will experience more opportunities and fun and growth and all the things that they want, not necessarily what we want, but what do they want? So that's their version of a pool. What do they want? What do they want to take a dip in? So feel free, jump in. And of course, part of the sales process is really for all of us getting clear on just really 3 things. What are the problems that we solve? What are the problems that we solve for our clients? And we'll talk about this as well in a moment, is people are now hyper focused on solving problems and, the things that they want, of course. We're always aspirational in the work that we're doing, but what are the problems that we're solving, whether we're serving consumers, B2C, or business to business clients? What are the problems they're experiencing, and what's the impact of the problems if they don't get them solved? That impact and implication is really, really huge. And we'll talk about that a little bit in the GROW model next. But what are the outcomes and the results of what you provide? Really, really important. And if you have comments, feel free to jump right in. But this is all about sales, and this is all about the journey to, your client, your prospective client's journey to find you. So I love to think about, let's serve them what they want, and then we'll deliver what they need. Okay. We know that they need a process. We know that they need the coaching. We know that they need the group programs. We know that they need the structure, the accountability. But if we lead with that, obviously in sales, not going to be as enticing as the benefits of what they want. It makes sense? Thoughts about this? Yes. Yeah, exactly. Let's serve them up what they want. And of course, we're going to get into the grow model here in a moment, but the knowing that sales is, of course, service and solutions. What are the problems that your ideal clients are struggling with? What are the feelings and the emotions that they're dealing with as a result of these problems? And these are the things that this beautiful grow model that we'll talk about in a moment here, this whole discovery call, getting to know the other person in a very deep and sacred way, addresses. So what are their feelings, emotions about the problem that they're experiencing? And then what are the solutions and the outcomes that they want to experience? And oftentimes, I think people really know, but they're looking for a guide to help them to articulate these things and uncover these things. So that's why this grow model that I'll show you in just a moment is so powerful, because it's a structure that you can use to convert, so to speak, or transform interested people into taking the next bold step. Okay. Comments, questions, observations, jumping in. Okay. So I know this is so busy, and I apologize to you in advance, but this is a model that you'll be seeing in our Women's Success Accelerator program, because we lay out all of this in great detail in our year-long program. But my curious question to each of you is, what is your sales process? You go, because people oftentimes say, hey, I'm doing a lot of prospecting. I'm doing a lot of education marketing. I'm doing a lot of videos. I'm doing a newsletter. I'm doing a blog. I've got a group and all these things. These are important things. But sisters, that's marketing. Okay. It's marketing. It's really important. It's part of this prospecting step number one. And so, being on, being a guest on a podcast, having a podcast, all of these things are so critical, because they build up the platform for each of us to be known in the world and have credibility and expertise and thought leadership. It's a way for us to give, but it's not sales. Okay. So confusing what sales is as opposed to marketing and promotion and exposure and collaboration, all that, they're two separate areas. And honestly, we've never learned any of this in coaching or consulting training. We're just trained to get out there and do 10 blogs a month and do 15 interviews, and even this, do webinars and all kinds of stuff. That's really important and critical. Please don't stop. But we've got to have the sales component. Okay. So step one, prospecting. Step two, making that connection. Number two is, what's the call to action? Why will people go to the next step? And Gloria, you brought up such a great point, is you're doing you and like all of us, doing really important things to connect with people through all these mediums. But then what's the CTA, the call to action? What's the driving force that's going to have the person book the call with us? Okay. And so step number three is, of course, qualifying. And we're going to talk about this right now, is using a system to help your prospective clients grow. Okay. So having a grow conversation, this wonderful experts here, is a art and a science. Having this grow conversation is really important. We're going to talk about the person's goals. We're going to talk about the reality of what they're dealing with, the opportunities and options, and then W, what's next. And we'll talk about that in our next slide. But having a system to take people from interested community, they like you, they appreciate you, they're listening to you, you're on their radar. Oh my gosh, fantastic. To then what's next is part of the sales cycle. Okay. And then of course, step 3 in the process is having a qualifying conversation with Grow, show the value in the Grow conversation, converting them, so to speak, from interested to an actual client. And then step number 5, the key thing is, would you like to take the next step and become a client? Would you like to enroll in this program? Would you like to sign up today? Here's the link. I can process your card now. I can register you in this program. You know, having that language that works for you is really key. And I highly recommend practice, 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 practice. So you feel really natural, almost like pass the salt, pass the pepper. Okay. So good. Questions, comments, the sales process, thinking about what is your sales process. And of course, we can have conversations one-on-one to flush out what is your sales process. Okay, good. All right, so let's pop in and talk about Grow. Grow is what I use all the time. I am quite sure that I have had a Grow conversation with each of you at some point. Otherwise, I don't even know that you would be on this broadcast. So I have Grow conversations all the time. And I use Grow in all of my marketing, prospecting, interest generating things that I do. I talk about goals. What are the things that you want? What's the reality? Where are you now? Having this person get really clear about what's their current situation. And then, of course, pivoting to options. Well, what are some things that you could do now? Or let's lay out a little mini plan. And then W in the Grow model is, what will you do? Okay. And so I've got a handout that I will give to you after our broadcast today. And of course, it's in our Women's Success Accelerator Facebook group, but there's a real roadmap on specific questions to ask. But I'd like to pause here and think about how you can use Grow, and even just getting really good about a couple steps in the process. What is that Grow model that that you can use in your, even just getting really good on the G goal, creating that step number 1. What are the goals that you have in your particular, career, business, whatever it is, and then getting really, really, really good about the W at the very end. If you just get those 2 bookends, you're going to be in great shape. Okay, so let's pause. And who has used Grow before? Yes, thank you. Yes, big kisses to you, Sheila. Thank you. Thanks for being on. Yeah. Have you all used the Grow model? Goals, reality, options, some options like laying out a little mini plan, and then W, kind of the wrap up, what will you do or what's next? What do you think about this model, first of all? Do you like it? Is it interesting? Have you already been using it? And give me some feedback on Grow.
I really like it because it's so simple with your acronym. And as somebody who's really not comfortable with sales, this just puts it in my hands.
Yep. And I agree with that. And the Grow concept is simple and easy to understand. It's not like you gotta go back and say, what was it, that thing that Kathleen talked about with respect to the approach to take? And I think we probably all have used a variation of that. I think this just helps it become easier to remember. And for me, I think it's the options too. It's, I feel like we live in a world now where giving people options, we're giving them a way to say yes versus a no, versus if here's my proposal, then that's what it is. It could be too easy to say no versus some other options or some flexibility gives people more a way to look for yes. And so that's been something we've are experimenting with a little bit more.
Really great, Gloria. Thank you. Thank you. And you too, Carol. This is super, because with grow, the really important parts of grow, and again, I cannot take credit for grow. Grow was a model that was created 30 years ago by some British researchers. And so it's a model that is time tested and it's very powerful. But the thing with grow is to have a person, what often is missing with the grow conversation, again, the very beginning of it is thinking about talking to the other person, connecting, and then what is it, connecting with them? What is it that you want? Let's talk about what's happening for you. What are you experiencing? Oftentimes with the grow model, the R is kind of where people want to start. They want to talk about the reality of what they're dealing with. So to talk first about a person's goals, what they want, or number two, the reality of what they're dealing with. Sometimes people are more oriented to what they don't want and what they're experiencing. And so having the flexibility to go between the two is really powerful. But the real key here is with all of it. Yeah, thank you, Deb. Beautiful. Thank you. Yes, we tend to skip ahead. That's right. Yeah, yes, exactly. Is if there's nothing else that's during this broadcast that I want to highlight, is the key why some people say that they want to think about it, or they someone brought up the concept of ghosting or whatever. When things become not pressing or urgent or important, well, if we're experiencing a lot of things like, well, let me think about it, which is okay. That's not a problem there. But if they're not, you get the sense that it's really not a priority for them. May I suggest that we have not done a great job of the first G in grow. We have not worked with them to build up such a compelling opportunity. What's possible? What are they experiencing? They see a little kiddie pond or a little kiddie pool instead of a big, massive, beautiful pool for themselves, just using that analogy, right? So painting a really powerful picture of their future with them, what's possible, what would they like, the impact on their family, this, and this, and this, having them dream for a few minutes is so, so critical. Because that's the thing that we want to paint for them with complete and total authenticity, right? There's no cajoling, there's no pressuring, but dream with them a little bit under this goals section and, have them really get to their why. Why is this important? Why is it important that they do this? What will happen if they don't experience this? Okay. The impact of that under the G grow. And of course, resonating with them. You might even in this corporation, and I'll be glad to send each of you this beautiful enrollment model. I've got the whole script for you to use, my gift from me to you. Yep, exactly. Is to also share a little bit about your experience in this grow model. Share a little bit about maybe, hey, you were where they were at. And of course, practicing this. So this doesn't become a long drawn out story, but resonating with them, that feel, felt, found model is so powerful. I understand how you feel. And again, this is a model. It's not meant to be cajoling or trite or whatever, but really get like, hey, I really understand how you feel. I was there too in my corporate job, or I was really here dealing with this. And, what I felt at the time was I couldn't do X, Y, and Z. So if you do resonate with them and you do understand, tell them. But then, of course, here's what I found. Here's what I found were some solutions. Okay. Feel, felt, found is great. Okay. So building up that powerful vision of the future, vision of what's possible, that thing that they can live into, that they get so committed that they say, oh my gosh, I have to do this. And you're the right person to teach me, train me, educate me, lead me, coach me, mentor me on this. Okay, good. I'm pausing for any comments, questions, anything that's coming to mind about this. The G and the G and grow is critical.
I just want to anchor that because I think it really is the reminder. I mean, Deb put in there, we tend to skip ahead. We also tend to focus on what's wrong. And so I think it's natural that people that are potential, that they're prospects for us, they've got a pain point. And it's easy for them to go there first and stay there, because it's easy
Yes.
to complain about it, complain about things than to do something about it. And so if we really focus on the goal side of it, kind of draw them back to that. And I love that you said dream with them. I think that that's really wonderful. And for me, what I love about the W is it's the way forward, right? So if this is the current state, it's the way forward, that we have the opportunity to really transition that conversation to what's the way forward with this. And the way forward feels better than buy my service, but what they're doing is buying your service as a way to move forward. But for me, it just mentally that feels really good because we're helping them with the way forward. So that's my second word salad of the day.
Love it. Beautiful. Good. And we'll talk about W2. This is really great. This is really great. And so the thing that the major distinction, and Deb, love what you wrote about focusing in on the pleasure. Yes, really, really great. And, human nature oftentimes is if people are not feeling the pain of something. I'm not saying, we're going to hang out there, as you mentioned, Deb, and you, Gloria, as well. And we all know this, that not to hang out there forever, but to move into some possibilities and options of what's next. Really, really important. Oftentimes people want, we know this, they want to move away from pain in order to make a decision. It's the pain, it's the hot stove, it's something that will be a catalyst. And we know that it helps people justify making an investment, okay? If they know they can move away from pain into a solution, they trust you, they like you, they know that it's this possible, then they'll make the move. And so, so this is super good. And so the reality under Grow, again, is the reality is learning things about them. And again, I want to make a quick mention here. This is not a coaching call. The Grow model is a discovery call where we're discovering what's possible for them. We're discovering if there's an opportunity to work together. It's a discovery call. And what I like to say in every Grow call, discovery call, is we'll put together a little mini plan. It's a mini plan on how you might move forward. It is not a full-blown coaching call, because guess what? Discovery calls could turn into 1 hour calls, which, it's the person's going to leave if we give them all the solutions. I lovingly say this, but if it's a coaching call and we give it all away during the coaching call, they're left with, oh, isn't she a nice person? She just gave me a free coaching call, right? Yeah.
One of my favorites, and I have to say this rather than typing it, is a friend of mine, Adrian Graham, wrote a great article and then a book and all sorts of things. No, you can't pick my brain. It costs too much.
Thank you. I have eliminated that sentence from my vocabulary, and anyone who uses that sentence, it's a red flag for me. Yes. So it means free advice, right? We're not Dear Abby. Yeah. And there's such a fine line, because we're helpers, right? We want to help. But I think coming back to, I tell you, I have the Grow model right by the side of my computer, and I use it every single time that I'm on a discovery call or a collaboration call or a mini plan call, something like that. So I use it, and the more we use it, the better we get. But so very great point, Deb. Yes, exactly. It's a red flag, isn't it?
Right. Well, and we do have to share some of our knowledge, because that's part of this whole process.
Yes.
But there's that line. And I think the funny thing is we all feel it, right?
Yes.
When they get into that, well, could you? What if and then of course it's our decision as to whether we want to say, sure, however.
Right. Yeah. Yes. And so great point. And, when we're going through this Grow model, the goals, the reality, what are they dealing with? And this critical next third point is so great, because it's the options. And so I immediately take control of not in a forceful way, but people want us to grow them and guide them. So the third step is really talking about options. And I say it every time, and I practice it so I can say it easily, is, would it be okay with you if I recommended a couple options on how to move forward next? Whatever your language is, would it be okay with you? Let's come up with, brainstorm a couple options on what's next. So the first option is always, we collaborate and we talk about what are some options, because again, the promise of a discovery call for me is, when I make that commitment, is we're going to come up with a mini plan, and a mini plan is generally 3 steps. So invariably, the first step, I'll ask them, well, what do you think are some next steps? What would be a next step? And they'll come up with 1 or 2, which would be great. Then always the next step is, well, you don't have to do anything here. That's the next step, is just not to do anything. And I don't mean in a condescending way. It's more like, well, if you've been dealing with this, that is a step, is you could just keep going on the same path. And then invariably they'll say, no, I don't want that. It's why I'm on the call. Okay. And so the third step could be something like, well, how were you hoping that we might work together? Or how were you hoping that we could take the next step together? Or what were you looking for in a next step? Do you need support? Would a group program be a good next step for you? Or do you prefer one-on-one with me? So laying out, like, how were you hoping that I could help you with this? It's a bold question, sisters, but it's important to ask, how were you hoping? Because they're hoping that you will be able to help them if they even get on a call with you. I assure you, they're looking for solutions. So how were you hoping I could help you? Or how were you hoping that it could go for you in your ideal world? So whatever I've got in this roadmap, I have a whole bunch of options that you can use, but having a question like that is really, really important. And then W, what's next? We wrap it up in what's next. And it could be, well, what is the next step for you? What do you think is the best option for you? And it also could be, well, could I transition and tell you a little bit more about the next upcoming this, or here's an opportunity to do this? And invariably they're going to say yes. Okay. So you can see that's not pressuring. That's not hardballing. That's not, whatever, is let's talk about what's next. Okay. Yeah. Great. Questions, comments, observations. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
So I know that I tend to overgive, and that was a problem that I had at the beginning of my time with the C-suite network. I would say, I will give you a consultation for 30 minutes, and they felt so bountifully blessed with all of the things that I suggested, that they felt like that they'd achieved the goal and there was no further need. So one of the things that I have done is to my offerings of schedule a course with a call with me, I have one that's called Rent My Brain.
Yes.
And it is a 30-minute call. Now, that's not to say that all my calls are paid, but that it gives a signal
Yes.
that I think that I have information and value that I can deliver. And if they would like more than I can give them in a free call, they can book the 30-minute or an hour-long call for pay.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Carol. And you're pointing out having options too. So from this discovery call, this call, to be able to then say, well, here's some options of what's next. Option number 1 is, of course, hey, keep doing what you're doing. Sounds like you've got a next step here. Okay, great. But here are some other options. We could work together VIP. Here's a this, and here's a this. So I love the trinity of 3 things, just keeping it so simple, having some next steps, and then wrapping up the grow conversation of which of these 3 would you like to do? What's next for you? Yeah. And then, of course, some advanced things that we'll talk about in another broadcast are, handling quote unquote objections, because we know the two top objections are always investment, money, and time. Okay. So having really good solutions that are connected to that person's big why at the beginning, tagging it back to that, and having some things that are ready to go that you've practiced and that you're confident in, having answers is really, really important. Okay. So we'll talk about those in another time, but just getting really, really clear about this GROW model. Again, it's not a coaching call. GROW model, to have a discovery call, it's to learn, create a mini plan and have a conversation about how we might work together. Okay. So the person knows that, if there's even an option to work together, they'll know what's next. Okay. So any other questions about this? We could, just go into this for days. It's awesome.
I love what Carol says. It is very much about the terminology. I remember years ago, my LinkedIn profile said I was a professional speaker. Or no, I was a public speaker. That was it. I was a public speaker. And someone said, and this was, Laura Stack, who at that point was the head of NSA. And she said, change that word to professional speaker. She said, because that word right there keys into people that I charge. And she said, without doing here's my fee, when you are a professional speaker, you charge. If you are a public speaker, you don't. And so, just sometimes the terminology that we use is the key to, no, you're not going to pick my brain anymore. And I love how Carol does it.
Yes. Thank you, Deb. Beautiful, beautiful. And what you're also pointing out, Deb, and I appreciate this, as we kind of wrap up our time here together, is they have come to you. You have positioned yourself with all of your marketing and with your lead gen and your blogs and your everything that you're doing, which is marvelous. Please, we need to keep doing that. Okay. But we've positioned you and the esteemed faculty as a person who is credible, is professional, is knowledgeable. Oh my gosh, we're seasoned. We know what we're doing here. We're experts. We're thought leaders. And so to then with the W in GROW, goals, reality, options, and then W, what's next? What will you do? They're looking to you for a recommendation. Hello, that's why they came to you. So a recommendation of W, what's next? So in this wrap up with the GROW model, I often say, well, as kind of a wrap up here, from my perspective, there are three things you can do. You can not do anything, keep doing what you're doing. Okay. And probably we know you'll be getting what you're going to get. The other option is to get specialized and customized mentorship, to be in a program that will support you in, X, Y, and Z that they said up at the very top that they're interested in. And I highly recommend either working one-on-one together or number two, in a group program. Okay. So these are the two. Here's the investment levels. Which would you prefer to enroll in? What's next? Shall we? And the thing that I always say, okay, is shall we start today? Let's just start today. Let's get the paperwork done. Let's get you enrolled. Shall we start today? Right? Why not? Right? So again, you seeing their vision, you standing for their vision, you standing for what's possible, you advocating for them, but not to the point where they've lost all of their facility. We're not over advocating for them, but we're standing for them. We know it's possible. We have the solutions. We are the trusted person. We can help them get what they want. If we know that for sure, they will get that from you because their confidence in you is going to transfer. Okay. Your confidence in yourself is going to transfer over to them. And so invariably, and as we wrap up here, what we'll notice too in the W, what's next, is their beautiful, loving humanity is going to come out. They're going to tell you, well, la, 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 which is okay. Or they're going to go right for the what's next. And so to provide a beautiful, sacred, loving container for your relationship, the sacred relationship with the other person, to really understand, then what's the reality of what they're dealing with at the very end as you're wrapping up. And compassionately work with that other person. You know, maybe they've got some concerns. They've got to talk to a spouse or a partner, or they need to do this or that. It's great. And so that's my philosophy is, great. I want you to feel really great about this decision. And let's follow up. And let's follow up on Friday. I never let the time go by, you know, with a, well, should we follow up next week, or we should follow, well, let's just follow up after you talk to your partner or whatever. Let's just follow, you know, give me a call when you're ready to start. No. I highly recommend, this is the time for you to lean in. Okay. It's going to be a little uncomfortable at first, but lean in and suggest a next step and a time frame. Yes, it's a little bit edgy. Okay. But this person, in order to make a decision and a transformation and take the next step, this is all about them making a decision. Okay. It's all about them taking control, standing for themselves, making a decision, which is uncomfortable for people. So I lovingly say, great, you know, you're going to check with your partner and do the whatever it is you need to do. Okay, super great. So today's Wednesday. How would it work for you if we reconnected on a call on Friday? Well, sisters, advanced move 202 is, let's pull out our calendars and let's just schedule that right now. Ooh, it's an advanced move. It's so advanced. Ha ha, tee hee. But why not? Why not? Don't we want to work with people that want to work with us? Don't we want to coach and mentor people that are highly motivated? If they don't want to commit with you about a next step, come on. It's, you know, they secretly do not want to be let off the hook, so to speak. You know, they've been living a life where they have not been accountable to themselves and to their futures. Okay. So I say boldly, try it. And again, if you, in our Women's Success Accelerator, we're going to be practicing with each other and doing some role modeling here. So you get to do this and try this out before you talk to a prospect. But pull out the calendar and say, great, super. How long do you think it'll take you to, you know, have that conversation? Or, you know, you want to move some money around. It's perfect. Not a problem. You want to check your calendar. You want to do whatever it is. Okay, great. Honor them. That's really important. And they'll say, well, it'll take a couple days or take a week or whatever. Okay, great. So let's pull out our calendars and let's schedule that. Let's just schedule a reconnect call. Okay. And that gets them into action. Okay. All right. So what do you think about that advanced move? Who's going to try that? Yeah. Who's going to try that? Yeah. Good. Okay, great. They want transformation. Their heart tells them they want to make a change. They want what they want. You can be the one that moves them from indecision to decision. And just right then and there, guess what? The program starts. Your program starts with them the moment they make that decision. Okay, great, good. So as we complete, oh my gosh, I've loved every second of our time together. Oh my gosh. So remember the GROW model, okay? And, you know, it's really, really a powerful, and this is a great model, even in your coaching sessions and your consulting sessions with clients, is use this model, get really good on it. And of course, above everything, let's just take action. Take action on one thing from today, really critical, because when we're in action, our clients energetically see it, hear it, and they notice it, and they want to be around action takers. Okay. And always, what's next? You know, we have our Saturday morning Women's Success Circle. Oh my goodness, this Saturday is our 61st, 6-1 consecutive Saturday. Oh my gosh, we're talking this Saturday about the paradox of progress. Oh my goodness, the paradox of progress, 11 a.m. Eastern, and the calls are gorgeous. Okay, so we don't record them. It's a beautiful, intimate group. No fussy hair or makeup needed. Come as you are, and they're really, really great. The topic changes every week. And so the paradox of progress. Ooh, good. And of course, on August 17th, we are featuring one of our esteemed faculty members, Kathy Dirksen, talking about how to maximize your impact as a best-selling international author. We're going to talk about why Now, being an author, published author that's the table stakes of thought leadership. Okay. And how to get that done quickly. Check out our YouTube channel, subscribe, then you'll be noticed, giving a notification when we've got new videos. Oh, it's a treasure trove, sisters. Over 100 videos now. All of your videos from your programs are on there too. So help us activate that. Okay. And completing our time, the real secret, I think, to all of this is being more powerful together. We can do this together. So come join our council. We want to promote, showcase, and highlight you. We're growing. We're going to do a registration drive here very soon with C-Suite Network, giving you a platform to rise and shine. And how you do it is, let's have a one-on-one on Calendly. Let's have a grow conversation. How about that? Yes. So completing, just curious, what's your biggest takeaway? What's your biggest takeaway? And the advanced move is, what's your next step? Biggest takeaway from our time together and your next step. Thank you. It's been a gorgeous call today. Great conversation. Yeah. Who would like to chime in? Biggest takeaway.
The GROW model. Oh my goodness. How easy is that to remember? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Carol. It is what we help our clients do, right? Grow. Hello. Yeah. Thank you very much. Good. And we know you'll be using it all the time now. So that's great. Good. Thank you. Who's next?
It's hard not to say the GROW model because it just makes the thought of the sales process even more enjoyable, less, obviously it's still challenging, but less like we're being too pushy. Because if we're focusing on the GROW model and growing them, it feels like the ultimate win-win.
Thank you, Gloria. Beautiful.
I'll chime in. I love the options of giving them the option of staying where they're at. Like they're going to choose that anyway, but if you focus on that and you say that is an option, then they're like, well, no. I think it makes them, propels them forward a little bit.
Thank you, Vicki. Beautiful. Yes, it is always an option, right? Yeah. Yeah. Very nice. Thank you. Great. Yeah. Anything else as we complete our time? Yeah. Biggest takeaways. Wonderful. Well, what a delight today. I so appreciate each of you. Gosh, doing what I love to do, being with you. Thank you so much for a great broadcast today. Can't wait to see you. And we'll be talking about being a great best-selling author on our next broadcast and our corporate roundtable. Thanks. Bye for now. Let's go out and grow, sisters. Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.